Welcome to another episode of the Modern Father Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Marcus, aka Mr. G. This right here is Denver's finest, Benji. How you doing,
What's
buddy?
up? What's good, everybody? What's up, Marcus? How you doing?
Man, can't complain. If I were, you wouldn't even want to hear it because it's negativity. It's bullshit. Dude, countdown. Martin Luther King Day, baby on the way. How you feeling right now?
Anxious. Still anxious. I know I've said that a few times already, but now I'm getting really anxious. Every day that belly looks a little lower every day. We are hitting crunch time. My baby is due on Monday, the 16th of January. We'll see if she comes a day or two early or maybe even after. But right now, I'm just very anxious. I'm at work all day, and we use like Google Chat at work, so to communicate when things are going on in the building. So every time that thing rings, like I don't know if it's my wife texting me or sending me a message saying that she's in labor or the baby's coming or water broke. But so far, it's just been like some kid doesn't want to go to class. So that's kind of the world I'm living in. And then I have like everyone and their mother just keep asking me, like, is she here yet? Is she here yet? And I'm like, well, if she was here, I ain't gonna be here. And like even my students every day, they're like, when's the baby girl coming? No word on the baby girl. And I was like, no, not yet. She's coming. And like they're like super excited. They're like hyping me up. And it's just like every day waking up and just knowing like at any second it can be go time. And we got the backpack. So right now I'm in my baby's nursery, which she will be coming home to. So I'm looking at these bags every day, and it's just like, and I think I said this before. It feels like we're packed for vacation because I made sure like my wife got new stuff, so we didn't have to like shuffle if she needed to use anything. So she's like packed like she's going on vacation. And it's just a weird thought of when we come back from the hospital, our lives are changed forever. And it seems very dramatic to think like that, but it's the reality of life would never be the same. It's never going to just be about me as an individual or my wife as an individual. We are coming back once these bags leave this house and we come back, our lives are forever transformed. And I haven't like fully grasped that yet. Of like, this is permanent. This is not a temporary thing. This is not like, like you're never gonna be the same. I'm going to be a new man moving forward, and I don't even know what that man is gonna look like or be like because I'm yet to experience it. So get a little bit of anxiety about that, but I'm excited. I'm excited. I know my wife is exhausted. She just wants to like pop this little girl out, recover, and like the one thing she's looking forward to is like taking a nap, laying on her stomach. Like all that side laying, and you know what I'm saying, like that's exhausting. And I know how that feels because I've had shoulder surgeries where I couldn't lay on my stomach, and it would take me almost a year to recover and be able to get my arms over my head to where I can sleep comfortably on my stomach. So that's one thing she's looking forward to. Which is kind of funny when you think about it, something so simple that you take for granted.
I'm actually loving this angle. This is like in real time watching like almost like a documentary.
Yeah.
And like how we're just videotaping all these episodes, like we're doing one a week, and like just watching how your mannerisms and like how your emotions are changing from week to week. And then now it's almost like it's game time. And
Yeah.
you've played sports and everything. You get the pregame jitters. Like on those big games. I remember championship. I was like adult basketball as championship. I had the pregame jitters even for adult basketball. When I had my son, like I didn't even have the chance to go through all these emotions. So I wasn't really like talking about it, and like with Julie, I'd be like, hey, we might have a baby anytime of the week. You might be ready. But that was like the full extent of our conversation. It wasn't like this. So like this is actually like pretty awesome. And I hope our viewers like and subscribe, please, to the Modern Father Podcast. Once a week we're doing this. Going to be twice a week coming up soon, so just be ready. But like, I hope that the people and the viewers like just love this like full on like engulfing of our lives, you know, and how you are going through this wave of like this ride of emotions, and
Emotional roller
I
coaster.
think it's fascinating. I find it very fascinating. Have you? I know you're thinking about like the finality of all this. Like, you know, like once the baby, like you come home, like you're gonna come home to like a brand new, you know, situation. Like it's permanent. It's like, hey, like we have like a new human being now living in this house. Like, have what's your take on like on with this podcast? Like, what's your take on it moving forward? Like, are you do we want to like go into document like, hey, like week from week, like this is like what's happening with your baby. This is what's happening with my son. Like, what's your take on this moving forward after the baby's done?
I mean, once she's here, I think they would obviously for sure, I would love to like give general updates, just
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of there's milestones that babies are all supposed to hit. Um, so I definitely would like to support fathers on that tip of just having an understanding of how you can be supportive in specific milestones that your kids should be hitting. This is something I've studied, and I've worked with little kids in the past. I mean, as small as 6 weeks. Um, so just being able to be a guide and just kind of like break it down of what your doctor's explaining to you or what you've heard other people talk about, and just make it into a basic terminology that you're like, yeah, I get it, I can do that. Because sometimes we overthink, or sometimes people use vocabulary and terminology that makes it seem like you got to do some extravagant thing, and it's very basic, as like pay attention to what's going on, listen, go for the signs, be a good partner, support your partner, whether it's your wife, your girlfriend, one night stand, whoever it is, like whatever your situation is, like at the end of the day, like that's your responsibility. That's your bloodline, right? You got to do what you got to do, regardless of how you got there. And I think just being vulnerable and just letting people know, like, yeah, this shit's probably going to be hard, because all I keep hearing is like, oh, you're not going to sleep. You're not going to sleep. Well, all right, I get it, but there's more to it than just not sleeping.
Right.
All right, like that's just one aspect of it. Yeah, you're not going to sleep. I get it. The baby's going to be up often. You got to eventually get to the point where you're sleep training. And that's something I'm definitely like going to start reading more into. I've read a little bit about sleep training. Very important. It's a lifesaver. And from other parents I've talked to, it's also a relationship saver.
Yeah.
Because you have an opportunity to like just be back with your partner, and it's about you two, because the baby's good, baby's sleeping, you get a few hours, and ideally the earlier you're able to put them to bed, right, 7 p.m. You have that little couple hours of one-to-one time that is beneficial for the relationship. And just making that balance. I really want to be very intentional. I haven't really gotten into too much detail, but like, my childhood wasn't that great. So like, I'm excited to. It started off great, and then it ended really shitty. So I'm excited to like be able to kind of be the leader, I guess, of supporting my own child and making sure that they have everything they need, whether it's emotionally, spiritually, physical, all that. Like, I'm very excited to go on this journey, and I'm glad you called that out, of like thinking of just the end, because I tend to do that. I'm an extremist. I'm either here, I'm there, and I'm hoping like with this baby, it's going to really just help me be more in the moment and just slow things down, because I do want to enjoy it. I don't want it to just blow past me. And I've seen like a couple videos of like little TikToks or other like little quick articles, and it talks about just those first 4 years of how special those first 4 years are.
Important.
The kid is just like learning everything, and they're just soaking everything in. And I just want to make sure I maximize that, because the world's forever changing, and there's a lot going on out there, and your kid's only little for such a short time. You're an adult for such a long time. You're a kid for such a short period.
Yes.
And I wanna maximize all of that, and I do need to get out of that like extreme thinking of just like the end,
Yeah.
the end,
Yeah.
because that's how you miss things.
Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. Especially like I love how you talked about the partner support. Shout out to everybody who is lamped up with their what'd you say, their mom, their one night stand moms.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
it's a real thing, man.
yeah, it's
Shit
a real thing.
happens, man. People out getting weak.
It's definitely a real thing. So just make sure, like, dads or potential dads or males, or if you don't want it, strap up, because that's the only way that you can stop that from happening. But yeah, the parent support and the sleep patterns and everything, so crucial. It is absolutely crucial. Me and my long term significant other, what we did was we took shifts, and like the shifts are like so important because like when they're first born, like the sleep patterns are everywhere. They're everywhere. They don't have that. I think the correct scientist word is circadian rhythm. So like they can sleep during the mornings, they can sleep through the afternoons, sleep through the nights. It all varies on just how tired they are or just what mood they're in, because they're just seeing life for the first time. So and plus like hearing their voice, because
It's
he's
like
she's
being
heard
in
your voice.
Vegas.
Yeah, dude, she's heard your voice so much. Like if you're just talking to your wife, and like she just recognizes your voice. So already when she's out, she's already gonna hear and recognize your voice. So just keep talking to her. I talk to my boy all the time, man. Like I'm always just discussing like about, hey, this is what we're gonna do today. This is why we're doing it. Hey, we're gonna go see, your grandpa today, Papa. We're gonna go to the grocery store. We're gonna go to the park. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. Hey, how do you feel about the Clippers right now? They suck. They lost 6 games in a row, and they just won one last night. There's Kawhi Leonard. He should be your favorite player, but he never plays. Just certain things like that. Like I'm always talking to him about like silly stuff, but like that's building that connection. But then also too, that connection also starts with like your significant other. And I feel that like me and my long term have gotten like this really our roles down and our shifts down. But you're not lying about the first 4 months, man. The first 4 months are so important, and there's a reason why I'm
I said
staying home.
years.
First 4 years, excuse me. Yeah, my bad. First 4 years, I'll edit that. First 4 years. So we looked up daycare today because there's been some opportunities that I've been getting about work and everything, and like, hey, it's like, well, you can work, you can get like, start my own franchise and everything through this own company and whatever, and building that up. $1,800 right now for childcare, and that's like on average between the places and places. So we're leaning into it as these first 4 years are way important. I'd rather have me myself raise this kid than the some daycare person who's making $17 an hour. But shout out to everybody to daycare and everything. But at the same time, I know like our beliefs are, hey, like we can do a much better job than the daycare people. But then also like when he gets old enough, drop him off part time so we can get that socialization, because that's crucial. Because you don't want to be that parent going into like kindergarten, dropping your kid off, and your kid just going absolutely insane, crazy because he or she has latched onto you. So I think that's the most important part. Are one of you guys gonna stay home? I know you guys have a lot maternity and paternity leave. Are you guys gonna planning on staying home or?
No, I mean, so my wife's plan is to go back to work in 3 months.
Uh huh.
I'm convinced once that little girl's here, she's gonna have a change of heart.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. But I mean, the good thing with her is her schedule is a little different than mine, where she has more flexibility. Because she's a nurse, so she'll work 3/12s. No one wants to work the weekends, right? No one wants to work weekends. So if she's able to pick up a weekend shift, and then we'll have to find coverage for 2 days out the week.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, we probably look more towards a nanny would make more sense for us.
Yes.
Childcare is very expensive. I mean, here in Denver, you're looking at anywhere from probably around what you said, $1,800 up to $2,500 a month, easy, easy, and that's 5 days a week. And then usually not even usually, most of the time when you do childcare, you have to pay for the whole week.
Yep.
So whether you show up or not, you are paying the entire tuition. So if you think about $2,000 a month for 12 months, that's $24,000 in a year. 24 G's just to have your kid go to a school every day. And if you can afford that, then great. I think we can afford it. Do I want to pay it? I absolutely don't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do that. That is crazy. Like thinking about that's like paying for college for a year of college, and I'm paying for you to like just watch my kid and make sure they can eat and wipe their ass and things like that. Because especially at that age, it's not like she's really socializing yet, right? Like especially at that small age, 3 months, 4 months, she's sleeping all day. She's not. I just need her to be safe more than anything. We're looking more towards like nanny or maybe even a nanny share,
Mm-hmm.
which is a very popular option that they have apps for, and you can like interview the people, and you can drop them off, or they'll come to your house, whatever the arrangement is. I'm looking more towards that option for us, because we don't have family, so I can't just drop off my daughter somewhere at like a family member's house. I don't have anyone here. It's just my wife and I. But that's something that weighs heavy on me. And I'm trying not to think about that again, just thinking about like, fatality at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to think there yet, given that she's not even here. But it's something like we really have to start putting our heads together on in about a month of like, what is this really going to look like? I'm 99% sure it's going to be a nanny. Just because it makes the most sense. I don't need to pay for 5 days of childcare. I need 2 quality days of childcare a week. If my wife is able to work at least 1 weekend shift every week.
Mm-hmm. Y'all need to pull up to that junior college. That was a DCC. What is it? And then pull up to just go find one of the little 18, 19-year-olds.
That could be cool. Instagram. See, like I want a Spanish speaking. I want a little old lady who speaks Spanish. That's me personally. That's my bias. That's what I would like. That's what I prefer. Another thing with childcare too is like the downfall is that, man, your kid gets sick all the time, dude. So like everyone I know who has kids in childcare, like I have a buddy at the gym and his kid's about probably the same age as Cairo, maybe like 6 months, and he says that's one thing that he underestimated was the amount of time his kid would be sick. He's like, dude, every other week this kid is sick with something. He has a cold, he has a sniffles, he has this, he has that. So that's like having me think is like, that's why they want to take a longer paternity leave, because of I can't deplete all my sick days. I need to be available for emergencies.
It's real, because working in an ECE center for about a good year and a half, 2 years, I think. My first couple years out in Denver, and they have them. So they have 5 to 6 beds, right, like cribs, and they get them, they change their diapers, put them back in there, or they feed them, put them back in there, and then they'll do tummy time for a little while, put them back in there. But just think about it this way, right? My kid is a drooling champion. It's like a waterfall. It's like Niagara Falls. This dude's constantly just drooling, putting things in his mouth, and there's only so much you can sanitize. There's only so many times that you can sanitize. So if you think about that tummy time rug, full of drool, full of different stuff. So if you pull up to your kid to like a basketball game, or like you go to see if a high school son or a high school daughter, or like a middle school daughter, and you go to a basketball game with your kid, then your kid's around all those other people. You bring them to the daycare center. Who knows what they brought back from your house? Then you have 5 to 6 kids just drooling and nasty and unsanitized on each other. So it becomes like a petri dish. It's a cesspool of a bunch of germs. So I used to work there, and I used to get sick at least once every other month. And that was me hand sanitizing all the time.
Yeah, we did when I worked at ECE Center too. I mean, we cleaned it all day, every day. We were cleaning. It's not like we weren't doing our job, but I mean, they got that foot and mouth illness or whatever that's called. They're babies. I mean, they're trying to they're doing whatever, they're exploring. Like I said, it's Vegas, man. Everything's new. Everything's the bright lights. Everything is fascinating. There's like pumping oxygen. Like, oh, I don't want to sleep right now. I want to go play. I want to do this. I want to do that. All day, every day. Your kid's just bound to get sick. So nanny all the way until socializing becomes more of the need.
Yes.
As of right now, it's safety, development, making sure they're hitting milestones. A lot of the stuff I can do here, my
Hmm.
wife can do, tummy time, reading, making sure we're just pushing her a little bit, making sure her structure is strong, we're getting a strong foundation. Once she turns maybe 2 years old, 3 years old for sure, she's going to be in school. I started
Yeah.
school at 3.
Yeah.
I went to preschool for 2 years because I started at 3 years old. I would love for her to do that.
Hmm.
Here in Denver, they have ECE. I think they do like half days for 3 year olds, maybe, and
Yep.
full days for 4 year olds. Definitely will sign her up for that because she's going to need to have that exposure so she can learn how to socialize appropriately.
That Spanish speaking that you brought up, clutch. I
Clutch.
try
I
to
mean,
speak.
my wife's fluent. I'm not, so that's going to encourage me to start really working on it.
Right. I try to speak Spanish to, little carito, little poquito niño carito, roll him like a burrito, like I'm always, trying to, like spit little raps and stuff to him, little rhymes and everything, just to, keep
He's
him
like,
on his toes.
he's like,
He
bro,
wants to. Reading is clutch. We have a bunch of books. He loves this big blue truck books. He loves those books. Man. He pulls them out all the time. He loves those things. So yeah, you're gonna find your daughter's like likes and dislikes, and then just lean into them. It's like, hey, oh, you like this? Okay, so like let's find more stuff like this. And kids will go different ways because they have their own personalities. But they're gonna take a piece of you. They're gonna take a piece of your wife, and like, dude, it's an amazing thing. They're gonna love it.
we got a gang of books.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, does Carl use that? Remember, we got him that little sensory.
Oh, all
How did
day.
that work out? Because
All day. So we ended up getting him another one. So he has two. He's got I call him I have little names for him. We have Foxy Roxy, and then we have Giraffe. And like he'll like either double fist or like he'll have one. And what I do is I put him on the bed with the remote, and like he'll crawl over towards it and go get it. And I like play like to his left side. Remember I was telling you about that whole shoulder thing. Look at last episode. Make sure you watch that. But like I move him to his left side and I have him spinning around to his left side because so he's looking to his left and moving to his left. It's amazing, man. That thing's so great. He loves that sensory stuff. You bring it over to my dad's house all the time. We don't leave at home without at least one of those things. We go to the doctor's appointment. We always have like one of them on us. So yeah, man, that was a great gift. Great call. Still using it. Still loving it.
somebody gifted us the same thing. I
Mm-hmm.
think we have two of them. We have two as well, like two of those scents. So if you guys don't know what it is, it's literally we got it at Target. It's a little doll, and each part of the doll has a different texture, so they can get exposed to different textures or feels. Like one, like I think it has like a styrofoam in the ear, and this
Yep.
ear feels different, and then the hands feel different, and the
Yep.
stomach feels different. Again, just different exposure, different textures, to help with soothing and like just for development purposes. Nothing too crazy, not expensive, but definitely a beneficial toy to have right out the womb.
The right foot is different than the left foot. Like you
Yeah,
just said, the left arm is different to the right arm. The tail feels different. So like you just said, every part of the doll is just totally different, and it's just like it's a comfort thing for him now because like, he just like squeeze it. It's funny because like I'll run up on him and try to like steal it from him, like that's mine, it's mine, and then, like he like bear hugs it and like will get into like a little ball and like try to like keep it from getting it. So it's crazy how like the development of these kids and like the little games that they like to play, and then you just lean into them. Like like I'll take a blanket and I'll just throw a blanket over his head, and then like he just scrambling trying to get it off, and he's laughing like crazy. Like little fun games like peekaboo and stuff. You'll definitely figure out like what your daughter likes and dislikes are. Especially when it comes to food, though. I'm telling you, like for me, there's no if, ands, muts, or maybes. Like fruits and vegetables, we've been pureeing a bunch of vegetables, and I had this like bomb. Oh, dude, I'm such a good
How
player. Like I'm
how
like this.
old? At what month did you start doing that?
5. We started at 5. So the doctor
It
said
was
at
all
6.
milk. It was all milk, right?
Yeah,
Before.
it was all milk, and right now we're weaning him off that the formula because okay, well, before we go into pureeing and stuff, I'm gonna tell you this: your wife, edit, if your wife definitely is going through where she's not producing enough of the
Breast milk.
natural lactation to feed your daughter, it is okay. Like I was
Oh
telling my
yeah,
long term, I was like because she felt because like it's like a stigma because like it's
it
almost
is.
like
Well, that's for
like
women though. That's all
yeah,
type
well,
of
they
shit.
women shame other women if they're not breastfeeding. Like it's like a big thing. It's like a really big thing about like oh if you're not producing enough milk then you know you're da 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 and like or you're not you gotta do this you gotta do that. But some of them don't produce enough. So I was trying to do my best to support her in the fact that honey like you don't have to like her like she wouldn't like this is TMI she might get mad at me for sharing this but like she was getting like scars and everything on her nipples and stuff from that pump
Yeah.
because
I mean,
Kyra wasn't
and it
latching
gets
on.
dry too, right? Like
Oh
it gets
yeah, oh man,
yeah.
it gets
Because
dry,
the saliva. I mean,
it
you got the
gets
saliva on
scarred.
there,
So like
scarred. Yeah.
if your daughter's able to latch, like it definitely you'll get the dryness from it. But if you're using the pump's like a whole different beast, man. Because Kyra wasn't able to latch real well on it, so like we had to use the pump, and that pump was just tearing her alive, man. It was eating her up, and I was just like, it got to like I think it was like 4 months in. I was like, look, enough. You know what I mean? Like you've like we were away the white flag. You've done your job.
You
You've done your
tried.
job
I mean,
amicably.
you tried.
You know.
I mean, if anything, I feel like that the good thing is like from what I've heard, like when you're able to get that milk out, like you just the woman just feels more relaxed. Like it just helps with the relaxation because I think their breast gets hardened or
Hmm.
the shit probably hurts because this is full of liquid and. I'm not. I don't know. This is all hearsay. This is what I've heard from other women speaking about that. Um, just that subject, I guess,
Hmm.
subject matter. But yeah, I mean, I know women are just. I mean, women are just brutal to each other in general. I mean, that shit starts in middle school. Y'all need to let that shit go.
For real, man. Like
Let that
it's
shit
it's
go.
so toxic. It's so
Don't
toxic.
nobody care about y'all.
I was talking to my neighbor about that, and like, cause even she was supportive. This was like when Kyra was like 3 or 4 months, and she was like, yeah, like same thing happened to me. Like my daughter wasn't latching on, and we had to go to the pump, and the pump just takes your soul, man. Like. And it just you gotta pump at like certain times of the night because you ain't lying because once the memories fill up all the way, like it causes like some pain. My long term was talking about like how painful it was
I
when she
believe it.
didn't. And she was working at the elementary school too, so she's sitting there in the middle of the day, like getting hammered by those the pump. So yeah, man, just try to support your wife as best as possible with that, and just let her know it's like, hey, like if you need to, is formula. Pay the $50 like for 2 packets for freaking formula. Formula's expensive, bro.
I
You're
know.
gonna learn that
Extra
too.
shortage, so it's probably they're just it's surcharging on that, paying the premium.
Mm-hmm.
You got so
Mm-hmm.
you have a food processor, right?
Okay, so yeah, so going back to the it's
We
the
got a food processor as a gift from for our baby shower.
did you get the baby ninja? I think it's the what do we I forgot what it's called. It's
I
like
forget
it's
what it's called. It's like a I don't know. It looks really fancy though.
uh-huh.
But I
Yeah,
got another.
ours
I
is
got a
dope.
yeah. One of my homies, he's on his second kid and he's like he sounded like you. He's like I'm the master of this puree. He's like I make
I love it.
everything, and he
I,
does
I I make I
everything
make
is
my own.
like all organic. He uses all
Yeah.
organic fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned this too from one of my old mentors of just like committing to the first 3 years of life of just pure organic food.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
first, so for those who don't know, in the first 3 years, your brain development is the biggest. So I think I don't know the numbers exactly, but a large portion of your brain is developed in those first 3 years of life. So like,
Yeah.
and I mean significant, like 90% of the brain chemistry is developed in the first 3 years of life. So if you have the means, and you can afford to like just make sure you're giving your baby quality food for those first three, it will pay off
Mhm.
long term. Obviously, as they get older, you're gonna experiment. You're gonna McDonald's and shit like that. But if you can hold off for 3 years and really stick with the veggies and the fruits and get them to buy into that and get that palate going, so they're not as picky as they get older. It will pay dividends as far as brain development, as far as willingness to try other foods, getting used to the fruits and veggies, the things that not all kids want to eat, but we should be eating. I was terrible as a kid eating fruits and veggies. I love fruits and veggies now. It's my food now. I absolutely love it.
Agreed.
But yeah, I'm excited to do that. I'm gonna take a filet mignon and I'm gonna blend that joint.
That meat, the protein.
Yeah.
I still haven't tried that yet. I still haven't tried like the protein yet because they said like chicken. They said like all that stuff is like like really good. Like bland. You don't season it up or anything.
Yeah.
What I do right now is
I put a little season, a little sazon in there.
like actually we have had like no salt for this kid. Like I'm trying to like make sure that like you don't get like any like you said it's all like plant based at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll make my own shakes in there too. Like I'll put my protein in there, and then like I'll put a bunch of berries and like some like vegetables and celery, and make my own little concoction in the morning. But then also like so it teaches him that like hey like I'm modeling for you that I'm eating the same stuff that you're eating. Especially right now I got this like broccoli, carrot, and apple puree right now. Oh dude, it tastes so damn good, man. It tastes so good. You just boil
That's what he eats?
Yeah, that's what he eats. We use a steamer to like soften it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And throw it in there and put a little water in there, just a tap of water in there, blend it up. Oh man,
you said broccoli, apples, and what?
Broccoli, apples, and carrots. Oh, it's so good. But what your pediatrician and I don't know our pediatrician what they told us is that when you're introducing something, you introduce it for 3 days straight. So like at first we started off with like this purple potato. It's like purple potato, it's like sweet potato. We started off with that 3 days of that, and then we went to broccoli 3 days of that, and then you get the next thing 3 days of that, and then we started mixing it in. So it's like all right now broccoli and like carrots now. 3 days of that, and then the apple, 3 days of that. So yeah, like, and especially like he doesn't have like a preference now because I put beets in some of this stuff now, and like he's not even tripping on it because he knows what he's gonna get now. It's just fruits, vegetables, and not too sweet. More, it's like 2 to 1, two servings of vegetables to like 1 serving of fruit, and sometimes it's not even like 1 full serving of fruit. It's like a quarter to a third to make sure it's not too sweet. Because like you don't want that sugar life because as soon as that sugar life they get hit. And then also we stay away from those because like right now he can like pick things up. Like we boil like carrots and like cube them up a little small, and then you pick them up and just put them in his mouth and they kind of disintegrate in his mouth. But they have those like little puffs that come in that you've seen that like if you ever walk down like any aisle in Target, baby aisle, they have like puffs and everything. Stay away from the processed stuff, man. Stay away from that processed stuff as much as you can if you can. If you can, I'm not saying I'm not trying to be like the bougiest bouge right now, but like if you have a chance to stay away from that stuff, do because it's not the best.
I'm gonna be honest with you, processed food is more expensive than cooking real food. So I mean, even now, like my wife and I, we shop mostly on the outsides of the store. So the outside aisles, that's usually where all the fresh stuff is. I keep it very basic. Again, we do a lot of shop. The annoying thing is if you shop and you're not buying like those preservatives, you have to go often, right? Like, so I'm at my wife, I'd say my wife more than me. She goes to the grocery store at least once a week to buy fruits and veggies. I eat fruit. I eat apples, oranges, bananas every day.
Yes.
Every day. And I keep it simple. I don't need... other fruits are cool. I love apples. Like, that's my go-to. I eat an apple. I've eaten an apple every day in my educational career. It's very cliche. Every day in my career as an educator, I have had an apple, which is crazy to think. Like, every single... I'm like, they're very cliche, but I love apples. It's my favorite fruit. It's my go-to. More than oranges, more than anything else. But every week, I get new apples.
It's pretty awesome because like I've been taking them to the store more because we've had to do, like you said, we have to do runs because you have to eat your fruit quick or it's just gonna be waste. It's gonna disintegrate on you. It's gonna be nasty. It's gonna have holes and all the corrosion on it. It's pretty gross. But you probably goes.
That shit, it has to have that crunch.
It has to. Without the crunch of soggy apples, that's gross.
Yeah,
but the store runs. are fun because the store runs in becomes like a walk. Like I'll take him, put him in his little jacket because it gets cold in there, especially when you're walking in like the produce aisles. So you gotta keep everything like nice and cold and wet. But yeah, I go in there and he gets a bunch of stares. He's like, "Oh, how old's your little boy?" I'm just chopping it up with everybody, like the workers and everything. A couple of the cashiers know me because I've been going in there consistently, chopping it up with them. So you just build a community while you're in there, and that's important too for like your sanity because you're gonna be staying home now for like your 6 weeks. 6 weeks? Yeah. So like to stay sane and because like you don't want to get cabin fever. Always be out. Like even if you can't be outside, I know it's cold out there in Denver right now. So that's why the store is like important. Walk around the store, stay like a good distance away from people.
So like she bought us one of these. It looks like a jacket for the car seat. So when I put her in the car seat, I don't have to put her coat on because you're not supposed to put your.
You're not supposed to.
You're not supposed to put your kid in a car seat with the coat on because then it doesn't clip as tight to the body as it should. And since we live in a colder climate, we have a real winter. It's like a blanket. It's like a fitted sheet. It's like a thick fitted sheet for the what's that shit called? The
car seat.
Car seat, yeah. For the car seat to avoid having to stuff her in there with her coat on. So I got to take it on and off. So I thought that was pretty.
That's clutch. That's clutch because getting him out and then doing the jacket. Like it's so hard. What I'll do is I'll sit him up. I'll open my back. I'll get the stroller out and I'll open the trunk, and I'll have him sit there in the trunk and then put that on. And it's cold. It's Vegas cold. You get that sharp wind going through. It's like 40, 47. Nothing like Denver cold. So like it's still got that like dry cold. And so he's out there. It's freezing. I'm putting the jacket on as quick as possible, loading him up in the stroller. But it's hard to do those transitions, and you'll see too. Like that thing. What is it called? What is that thing called? You know what it's called?
I don't know. I'll ask my wife when she gets home.
Right.
Ask her what it's called. But it looks clutch because again, I don't have to put a thick coat on her to make her warm because it's insulated. Like it feels like, it feels like a coat, but it just goes over the whole thing.
Right.
And it has like a window, so I can see her still.
Oh, that's what's up, yeah. Like we're gonna get like sponsorships. Like we're gonna have like product like sponsors. Like we just have the product right here. Like, hey, if you want some more information,
this big old tummy time thing. Right. I'm excited to be on here with her playing. Right. Figure it out. You can hear the little jingles and shit.
Right. We're over here making extra cash. We're just over here corporate shows.
She's gonna be doing planks at 3 months.
She got all the abs. She got a 6-pack.
Moonwalking at 9 months.
Dad duties. Duties.
You see those videos, dude? Like.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's Brawley Gaines. Duties. Yeah. You want bigger abs? Duties. I love that guy, man. He's my favorite. He's my favorite. And he has a daughter too. And like what he'll do is like you want to get in shape, and he has his daughter like strapped in, and he's like just running through New York, and he's like duties. And I'm like, this is dope, man. Like he's doing push-ups with her on her and stuff like that. I'm like, and pull-ups and like all this crazy stuff. It's cool, man. That guy is amazing. He's my hero. He's my calisthenic hero.